Good evening, guys, and welcome back to another live show as I am here with Rob Armstrong. We have just finished watching the England-Belgium game where unfortunately England fell to defeat in the last group game. Rob, how you doing? What did you make of the game?
Don't care, mate. Detour on the way to coming home.
Just a quick detour. I mean, was there any sort of surprises? I know he made a lot of changes before the game, Gareth Southgate, but that many, do you think it made that much of a difference? Or what did you make of it overall?
Yeah, obviously it made a huge difference. It was a reserve game, wasn't it? And at the end of the day, you know, West Ham reserves beat Man United reserves every now and again, but the first team don't. Don't matter. Irrelevant. And even though I really wanted to win, desperately I wanted to win, because you know the way you keep that momentum, the way you keep winning is to have that winning mentality. I really wanted that, but it is what it is. Now we've got the easier group, and I suppose tonight was like a no-lose situation, wasn't it?
Yeah.
And the way I sort of thought about it as well, you know, I'm having a couple of WhatsApp arguments as we speak. Some people say, "Oh my God, it's a disaster. We're rubbish. This is the same old England. I've been robbed of a World Cup game." But I don't think that's true, because at the end of the day, this was a gimme, right?
Yeah.
This was a chance to see if anyone deserved a place in the team. There's been a couple of criticisms about the team that was playing. This guy, he knows football's coming up. There's been a couple of criticisms of players that have been there, and we had a chance to play other ones. And let's face it, they didn't do the best. I thought Vardy actually was very good.
Yeah.
I thought Rashford his chance.
So do you think? I mean,
we know more going into the next game, don't we?
Yeah, absolutely. Do you think that's what Southgate's going to be talking about now? The guys that came in and had a really good game. I think the likes of Alexander-Arnold at right back are really good. Loftus-Cheek impressed again, as you mentioned, Vardy. Do you think he'll sort of be going into it saying, you know what, guys, don't worry about that. We may not have come through it, but we'll look forward again. Sort of really trying to take away from the factors, what we've mentioned in the last few days, that momentum is really key going into the next stage. Is it kind of right to write it off and just say forget about it, or do we try and take the positives as you normally would?
The momentum thing's a little bit funny, isn't it? Because it's like the team that's been playing hasn't necessarily lost the momentum.
Yeah.
I don't know if that maybe makes sense.
No, I get you. Yeah.
Together, but like, at the same time, the team that just played and lost there is not the team that's playing against Colombia. Let's face it. There was 9 changes.
Yeah, 8 or 9.
Pickford the only ones that kept their place.
But I mean, I think in the game overall, how can we rate them as having a positive performance but then lost again? Does that really take away from the individuals? Because you're saying that none of them would really start, but they've had a good game, so maybe they're in for a chance.
I think there was a couple of okay performances, and that's what I describe it as. I think anyone in Belgium played very well. No, I don't think Belgium was all that much either.
No.
Let's face it, if Rashford scores that chance, it's 1-1, right? No one's doing anything different there. It was, despite the fact, don't get me wrong, this was no France versus Denmark, but it was still...
yeah, that wasn't that bad.
It wasn't being played at 1,000,000 miles per hour. And that annoys me a little bit, because I would have liked him to take that game with the same intensity and seriousness as anything else. Because like I said to you, I just want to keep winning games, so we get used to winning games. And then when you win, you know, when you win games all the time, other teams fear you a little bit, don't they?
Yeah. So do you think that sort of bursts the aura around England of being beatable or not? Because as you said, had we gone in with 3 out of 3, there would have been a real presence as we stepped into the next stages. Do you think it's kind of burst the bubble, or is it obvious that both teams weren't full strength?
A little bit, but
you're not worried.
It's, you know, it was what it was.
Yeah.
It was ultimately. It was a game between 2 second-string teams.
Yeah.
Not necessarily.
So I guess having said that, then.
I'd also argue.
Yeah.
I'd also argue England's strength has never been, hey, these boys are unbeatable. England's strength has always been like, okay, it's the plucky old English. What are they going to do? Normally, sometimes pull something heroic out of the bag. We love our sort of dramatic moments.
Yeah, absolutely.
or 1-0 wins, we very rarely get them. We do everything the hard way. Everyone's known that about us forever. So there's always been an unbeatability about us.
So then, focusing more on the players who didn't play, I mean, you can't not mention Harry Kane. Would he have made a difference? Is he the kind of guy who'd come in, like I'd put my money on saying he would have finished the Rashford chance, hands down. Is that something you would have taken the risk, the gamble on playing him?
I think there's that extra thing. When you bring on a player like Harry Kane, right, you get that extra thing that, you know, when you watch Argentina play, when you watch Portugal play, when you watch Brazil play, I know Harry Kane isn't Messi, and I know he's not Ronaldo, but you still get that extra thing of, oh, what do we do here? Like this is a top class.
Yeah, it makes the opposition think a bit more.
And it strikes the fear of God into people. And Rashford's great. I love Rashford, but he's got a little bit to work on. You know?
Yeah.
When Harry Kane was his age, he was at Leyton Orient or something. So I'm not worried about him at all. And he's got so much pace, so much skill. He's a brilliant player. But like Harry Kane is our world class player, right? And when you back yourself to go far in the tournament, you have to have the world class player.
Yeah.
He's ours. Playing today, and obviously that makes a difference. Obviously it does, but also you're missing Trippier, who's put in more. I think he's put in more crosses than any other player in the World Cup so far.
In 2 games as well.
Yeah, and you're missing. I know a lot of people give him stick, but you're missing Henderson, who holds down the field and also has like.
I did think tonight really was a Henderson kind of game with the likes of Dyer, Delph, and Loftus-Cheek. They're not so bad at carrying the ball, recycling possession, but in terms of passing and really shifting the counter-attack quite quickly, I thought Henderson would have been key for it. And I'm not always his biggest fan, but this really did look like a game for him. And we'll go back very quickly to Harry Kane as well. Do you think this would have been the chance where he would have said, play me? He just, regardless of the game, the fact that it was a bit of a dead rubber, he would have wanted to be out on the pitch, getting the goals and keeping that kind of form going.
I never believe in that resting players thing. And I know that makes me against almost every manager in football. And let's face it, every manager in football knows more about football than me.
Yeah, true.
I would have liked to see Harry Kane play because he's our best player. Harry Kane can play 7 games, right?
Yeah.
We know he can. We know he can stay fit for that long. So I would have liked to see him play. I would have liked to see him put the fear of God in the Belgian team. That is what it is. It didn't happen.
I mean,
when he was warming up, don't get me wrong, as you can probably tell, I was watching it on a big screen with loads of people, most of whom have disappeared a little bit since full time.
Yeah.
But when it looked like Harry Kane was warming up and it looked like he was going to come on the pitch, right? Everyone here, kind of like that. England fans, obviously, like my man here, England fans were loving it. We were like, okay, we're going to win 4-1 now. But everyone here kind of like held their breath a little bit, and it puts the fear of God in people, doesn't it? Because you do not want to play against a world-class player. I wouldn't have wanted us to play against Eden Hazard tonight.
Yeah,
I know Lukaku great form, but Hazard is their world-class player, right?
Yeah, I was about to mention the same kind of thing. From Kane, from a personal perspective, he's obviously going for the golden boot. 5 goals in 2 games. To see that Lukaku was missing as well, someone who's just one behind him on 4, would that given him a bit of comfort, knowing that he won't be overtaken? Unless the unlikeliness that John Stones scores a hat trick or something, would it have given him a little bit of comfort?
George Romero's still cleaning, by the way. That's the official line. The official line.
That's the official line. Tuesday, mate. Big leaner, mate.
Absolutely loving it.
What you saying? Harry Kane.
Yeah, so do you think he would have sort of been a little bit more comfortable with the fact that Lukaku wasn't playing and therefore couldn't overtake him? Because the golden boot has to be a big thing for him as well.
He wants to play every game ever, right? I think, like, the ones that succeed never want to miss a game, right? Lionel Messi or Cristiano Ronaldo has never wanted to miss a game ever in their life, and I think Harry Kane's the same. I think that's why he is where he is.
Yeah,
definitely. He's got that tireless work ethic. He don't want to miss a second of football in his whole life. He'll obviously be gutted not to be on the pitch. He was probably warming up out of his own, volition.
Yeah.
He was doing that to get. You played Sunday League. I'm sure many of the people watching have. You know what you do when you're a sub, which I'm not saying you ever are, but if you are, when you're a sub, you go over and you give it a right old stretch in front of the manager, don't you?
Oh, yeah, just to let Southgate know he was there, he was ready.
Calf stretch I can do. I've got well limber hamstrings. He's doing that in front of the manager because he wants to come on. Right?
Yeah.
That's why he's pulling his socks up. That's why he's pulling his shin pads up. He knows what he's doing.
But as an England fan, I mean, I absolutely love to see it. And I mean, moving forwards, it's really a given. I know Vardy was kind of, had a decent game, but it's a given that Kane will start. I mean, the likes of Ali, if he's fit, will coming back to the team, Sterling. How far do you think England can go? I mean, we've mentioned it very, very quickly that we have the easier side of the draw. Again, easier being not really the operative word considering it's a World Cup, but certainly the kinder side of the draw. Can England really go all the way?
Absolutely. Like I said to you, I've been arguing with a geezer on the WhatsApp group. Today was a no-lose situation.
Yeah.
I mean, I hate losing. I wanted us to beat everyone, but the fact of the matter is, we do have the easier group now. Not the group, you know what
Pathway,
I mean.
Yeah.
Mate, I fancy us to beat Colombia, especially now James Rodriguez. I called him James Rodriguez.
Such an English fan.
Yeah. So I've been drinking with two English blokes. James Rodriguez is injured now, as is Radamel Falk. And Colombia, right? They're beatable.
Yeah.
They're so beatable. They've got great players, but they are so beatable. So, round of 16, okay, good. I think we can beat them. Quarterfinals, Switzerland. I think they've only, I say last night, I think they've only lost one game in 2 years.
Yeah.
We beat them fairly recently, and I back us to beat them again. When the pressure's on, I back us to beat them again. We've got better player for player, then that's fine.
So
God knows what turns up there, but instead of being, I think it was going to be like France, Portugal, Argentina, or someone.
Yeah.
Uruguay. Now it's going to be either Spain or Croatia. And to be honest, Croatia's the one I really, really don't want.
Yeah, no, absolutely. They've been fantastic.
Croatia's not stopping football coming home, is it?
Never.
Coming home.
So what I mean, moving into the knockout round very quickly, do you feel like England's title has changed? I mean, beforehand we were obviously, as English fans are, very sceptical, going in with sort of a low mindset, saying quarterfinals would be good for us. We're slight underdogs. Now, do we leave the group despite finishing second as real favourites? Do we walk into the last 16 against Colombia, potentially into the quarters, with a bit of a chip on our shoulder as firm favourites, or should we stick to that underdog tag?
I don't think any player in that England squad, Football's coming home. See,
clearly it's coming home.
I don't think any player in that England squad for 1 second has thought they're not winning the World Cup.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? Every single one of them is there to win it, and I don't think the fans might be saying, yeah, I'll be okay with a semi-final or a quarter-final or whatever.
Yeah, they're not really.
The fans and the players. I think the players are like, all right, we're here to win.
Yeah.
And the fans are like, okay, semi-final, we can have a right old boozer. But honestly, you go past Colombia, you've got a puncher's chance, always. And it's better than a puncher's chance. It's better than a puncher's chance. Of course it is. We've got world-class players, or one at least.
I mean, if Twitter's anything to go by, we've already won the World Cup, so it doesn't really matter. Look, Rob,